Hey, hello. Welcome back to another episode of Photography into Filmmaking. Now today I want to talk about stabilization. So in photography, as photographers, we know how important it is to keep our images perfectly stable. So we go out and we buy image stabilized lenses, we buy cameras that have embodied stabilization that moves the actual sensor to keep our images, perfectly stable. But today I want to talk about the video world. The video world is a lot more motion driven than photography, obviously. We're moving around, we're jumping in and out of cars, we're doing all sorts of run and gun kind of activities. And in order to keep that stable, those embodied stabilizations, those IS lenses aren't gonna cut it. They ain't gonna do the job that we need to do. So we need to invest in something to do that. And I'm gonna show you today what that investment gets you. This is the Crane 2S by Zhiyun. And it's a big beast, a big monstrosity of a machine here. But this is what's gonna give us very smooth, stable video footage, what we're looking for. So today's video is not a full review of this crane. I will do a review of this for you guys. So today I just wanna make a quick video in the forest here. I got my wife knocking about somewhere. We're just gonna do some walking around, get some shots and use some different methods and techniques that are built into this stabilization and just show you the benefits of buying one of these. I think this is probably the first most expensive investment you should make when it comes to filmmaking. They are not cheap, but they're not super expensive as well. But I mean, when it comes to camera gear, you can keep your camera for a long time, right? Nowadays, cameras have 4K DCI built in, they have log, and all things like that, high bit rate, so you can hang on to your camera as long as possible. But unfortunately, the embodied stabilization inside cameras, they just can't cut it as much as what a gimbal can do. I'll show you some demonstrations comparison between my XH1 with built-in image stabilization and my Blackmagic cinema camera, which has 0, running on a vintage lens, which has 0 image stabilization, but just running on one of these. So you'll get to see it. All right then, so I'm gonna head out into the forest here and get some nice B-roll. Oh my God. I'm right next to an airport, so there's so much sound. But before we begin, I just want to show you this beast of a monstrosity. So this is how I have my one set up here, right? I have this handle here that comes out with my monitor on there so I can see what's going on. The camera's gonna go on here, and 9 times out of 10, I'm probably gonna hold it down this angle, looking at the monitor like this. So you'll probably see me using it like that. It's super nice. It's a beautiful piece of equipment, and I'm excited to really get indulged with this thing. But right, let's just begin and get into the video. All right, and so this is what my setup is looking like. As you can see here, I've got my Blackmagic camera on the front there. As I turn this around, I've got my monitor at the back so I can see what's going on. And what that allows me to do then, if you guys can see now, I can hold this downwards. I can look at my monitor and see what I'm filming, which is pretty dope. Now I'm using a vintage old lens, so I have to pre-focus beforehand to make sure things are sharp and stuff like that, which I've already done. So what I'm gonna do now is just walk through the forest nice and slow and get some just walking through B-roll, which I think is gonna look pretty cool. So let's get that shot done now. We're in the first mode, which is PF, which is basically just a normal follow mode, as you can see here. I move here, it slowly starts to turn, just with the flow of what I'm doing, which is pretty cool. All right, so we'll use this function and then we'll move on to the locking mechanism, which just locks on one location. Cool, so hopefully that just walking into the forest thing turned out okay in the follow mode. What I'm gonna switch over into now is a lock mode, and what that does is if I press this button here, just once, press it just once, I'm looking in this direction. No matter what I do with the gimbal's constantly gonna be looking over there in that direction and try to stay there perfectly. Now, there's many techniques you can do using this locking kind of method, but I'm just gonna use it to lock in on one particular tree and just move around it kind of thing. So let's see how that one goes. Cool. So the final mode I'm gonna test, there's a few more modes inside this gimbal here, but for the purpose of this video, the final mode I wanna test is the vortex mode. Now what the vortex mode does is basically you can focus on something and the camera does a complete 360 spin kind of thing, right? For that though, I'm gonna have to take off my HDMI cable here. So let's just take that off, boom. And then now the camera can spin freely without pulling the cable out of the monitor. So let's get some of those shots and see how that one goes. All right, so now I want to quickly run an experiment between the XH1 with its in-body stabilization and its image stabilized lens, alongside the Blackmagic using the Zhiyun Crane 2S. Now I'm going to record them both in 24 frames per second, no slow motion, so that we can get a real representation of what's going on. My wife's going to run behind my daughter. I'm going to run behind her as well, and we'll just show you the resulting factors. All right, let's do it. So we've done our little running sequence. We kind of had to do it from two different angles because otherwise we're going to bang into each other. And the floor here, I don't know if you can tell, but it's so uneven. So this should actually demonstrate how stabilized these two things are, the difference between them and stuff like that. I had a look back at the footage. The XH1 is actually fairly okay, but obviously the gimbal just takes it, right? Also, I was shooting on a manual lens on the Blackmagic, so I couldn't focus and run, so I apologize for the blurry footage on that, but it is what it is, right? So I guess that's it for today. Ooh, falling in a pit here. So I guess that's it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I just wanted to show you guys that taking the investment in getting a gimbal is gonna step up your footage massively, I think, and it makes things stand out a lot more better than just trying to use it on a rig. Handheld rigs look great, but if you're trying to go for that dramatic look, gimbals is always the way forward. Now, unfortunately, my Blackmagic camera completely ran out of battery before I think I even got any kind of B-roll. So I'm gonna leave you with whatever footage I managed to get today. And I guess that's it. I'll catch you in whichever video happens to come next. Make sure you subscribe, like, comment below, all that stuff, and I'll catch you in the next video. Peace and love.
There's no words to show you how, no song that's come from taking